Okay, spiritual objectives. That means the purpose of practice. If we summarize, we must have the right intention. If we have right intention, we can achieve what we want. Sometimes we have unwholesome mental state, we have bad intention, we cannot achieve what we want. But when we talk about spiritual objectives, we have to start with abhinya, direct knowledge. So it will be very wide. I should elaborate grammatically first. In the Pali words abhinya, there are two, abhi and nya. Abhi means higher, superior. Nya means knowledge. So to achieve superior knowledge, better knowledge, we have to practice. What does it mean, superior knowledge, or better knowledge, or higher knowledge? So we have to know something new. What kind of new things should we know? For example, you may have known the Pali word sankata, conditional, and asankata, unconditional. Under the name of conditional, sankata, it also includes 5 aggregates. So why 5 aggregates are sankata? Why they are called condition? If we talk about 5 aggregates, it will be too wide. Among the 5 aggregates, the first one is rupa khanda, the material aggregate. The material aggregate also very wide. I will summarize to clarify what's really called condition or conditional. For example, we have karma produce materialities. Our karma will condition, our karma will produce that kind of materialities. When our karma is weaker and weaker, our karma produce materiality also become weaker and weaker. Okay, practically, when we are young, we may have good eyesight. Because eye translucency is a karma produce. When we grow older and older, our karma also weaker and weaker. Then finally, our eyesight also become poorer and poorer. Okay, the main thing is, karma is the condition. Karma will produce the materialities. The four about arhats, they haven't accumulated any new karmas after attaining arhatship. That's why no more rebirths, no more kamacharupas. Now we also have mind produce materialities. For your understanding, every day we have good mind, bad mind. Sometimes our minds are very active. When your mind becomes very active, your body becomes lighter. Sometimes when you are lazy, not that much active, your body becomes heavier, even you don't want to move. It's produced by mind. So for arhat, after bring nirvana, no more mind produce materialities. Okay, even in our daily life, we can also see many dead bodies. When somebody passes away, no more kamacharupa, no more chitacharupa also. Then since they don't have consciousness, they don't have mind, they cannot move anymore. Every day we can move easily, smoothly. Some of the conditions, lightness or flexibility, produced by consciousness. Okay, for another condition, you can also understand when you are happy and when you are unhappy, your body will be different. Because your mind produces materiality will make different. Now we also have temperature produce materialities. We have good weather and bad weather. If too cold and too hot. Actually, in Nepal, you have both these two weather, right? Too cold, too hot. How do you feel? If too cold, you have to use many layers of blanket. If too hot, you have to use very thin clothes. Because our body function, our bodies are working differently according to the weather. This also temperature produce materialities. It will make our body different. When weather become very good, our body become very light, very active. When weather become very bad, we don't wish to move also. This is produced by weather or temperature. Similarly, nutriment produce materiality in our body. Good nutriment, bad nutriment. So it depends on how we eat every day. Our body will work differently. Okay, if we summarize, all the material aggregate are conditioned by karma, citta, udu, temperature, or nutriment. That's when they are called conditional dhamma. We also have unconditional dhamma. That is a nibbana. Whether hot or cold, nibbana is a nibbana. Cannot change. Whether you are happy or unhappy, nibbana is a nibbana. It cannot change. Whether you have good food or very poor food, it cannot change nibbana. This is called unconditioned. Nibbana is very far. So when we talk about abhinya, to know something with superior knowledge. For example, karma produce materialities. We have to know what kind of karma produce this materiality. What kind of consciousness produces this kind of materiality? What kind of temperature? What kind of nutriment? If we can understand in detail, we can understand deeper. This is called higher knowledge, or better knowledge, or superior knowledge. This is just an example of abhinya. Mostly when we talk about abhinya or abhinyana, people understand psychic power. Of course, psychic power is also abhinya. Ordinary people cannot attain psychic power. We must be strong enough to meditate until we can attain attainment. After attaining attainment, we must try many other ways of entering into different jhanas. When we are strong enough, when our concentration becomes powerful enough, then we can attain psychic power. This is called abhinya. Okay, if we summarize, abhinya means we have to know something with better knowledge, superior knowledge, or higher knowledge. Now we can also understand it cannot be understood or known by ordinary people. ordinary knowledge. It's not common sense. It must come from the practice. Okay, we have to move the next one. Parinya, full understanding. We say full understanding. Right? So mostly we understand many different things here and there. Like here we say parinyami, full understanding. For example, nama rupa. How to understand nama rupa? Full understanding. Mostly people understand this body is a rupa, mind is a nama. This is general understanding. If we say full understanding, it must not be general also. There are many things we have to know. We have to understand everything also. This is called full understanding. Okay, for your information, later we have to talk about all types of mentalities and materialities. Of course, when we say nama, then we can also understand there is inclination. The characteristics of nama is inclining toward the object. Then similarly, we can also know many other nama. For another name of nama, for example, consciousnesses. In Pali we call citta. So citta means knowing the object. We know many different objects. Within one day, we don't know how many objects we take. So this is also called mentalities, nama. Consciousness also mentalities. Then we also have many types of mental factors. We must understand how is it consciousness, how is it mental factors, how is all types of mentalities and materialities. We also have to know what are they. So if we summarize parinyami, we must understand fully. For your information, you may know 4 Noble Truths. Among the 4 Noble Truths, when you study Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you may know abhinyatam, abhinyeyam, this kind of Pali words. Right? So you also have like a Satchikata, Bahanam, this kind of usage, right? In the case of Parinya, we must understand 4 Noble Truths also. So we have 2 Noble Truths for Vipassana. Dukkha Satya, the Noble Truth of suffering, and Samudaya Satya, the Noble Truth of the origin of suffering. These 2 are the object of Vipassana. So for understanding these 2, we have the path leading to the cessation of suffering. This is Noble Eightfold Path. So we must understand many things. This is called parinya, full understanding. Again, we have another one, parikkhaya, complete destruction. Of course, when we say complete destruction, that means Nibbana. Right? When we attain Nibbana, no more nama, no more rupa, no more defilements, no more agusala, no more kusala also. This is called parikkhaya, complete destruction. Then another one, pahana, abandoning. So there are many ways to abandon unwholesome mental states. Now we also have many different steps to be able to abandon unwholesome mental states. For example, substitution. If we can substitute wholesome thoughts for unwholesome thoughts, this is also called abandoning. So every day we can substitute. We can change our object. It depends on how we practice. What's our habit? Sometimes we just follow our desire too much. No, we cannot abandon. Okay, for example, lobha is desirable, right? Desirable. We can also enjoy something if we have lobha, greed. But if we follow our desire too much, we will break precepts. Our mind cannot be peaceful. If we can substitute generosity or any other wholesome mental factors, wholesome qualities for greed or hatred or any unwholesome mental state, it will be more effective. Not only that, we can also subside by practicing vipassana, by practicing samatha. Although we cannot uproot, we can also abandon for sometimes, for a short time. For example, when we get angry, we just radiate metta. When we have a lot of worry, anxiety, fear, depression, we radiate metta. We can subside the defilements. Then similarly, when we are greedy, we can also change our perception to subside the defilements, such as recollection of repulsiveness. If you have seen dead body, you can also recall. Then you can also recall 32 body parts as repulsive. Not only that, if you have very strong attachment to the food, you can also try recollection of repulsiveness of the food. Last year I have explained something about repulsiveness of the food, right? Actually, if our mouthful go beyond the lip, it changed already. Right? Although we haven't swallowed it, just beyond the lip. As soon as your food touch in the tongue, before chewing, it changed already. Have you ever recalled that one? Try to recall. You can feel repulsive if you have attachment to the food. After chewing, what does it look like? Have you ever thought? This is just very beginning state of the food. After swallowing, what does it look like? This is the very beginning state of the food again, right? Okay, you may know the last stage of the food. Right? When you eat with groove, okay, you can smile, you can see each other when you are eating, right? But the last stage of the food, you have to hide, low. Right? Nobody wants you to see. This is the nature of the food. Right? You don't want anybody, right? You to see, right? So that means this is the nature of the food. Actually, there are many other processes. I just say very beginning of the food and the last condition of the food. You can also imagine how is it changing inside your stomach. Every single moment. So that means if we have too much attachment, by doing that kind of things, we can also overcome. We can also subside. This is also abandonment. There are many non-living things. We also have attachment to many non-living things, right? For example, here, cup. Right? Oh, this cup is very beautiful. We may have attachment to the cup. Okay, microphone. Huh? The microphone is very good. Huh? We can also attach to the microphone. Okay, laptop, camera, projector, sound box, amplifier. If we like something, it becomes desirable. Sometimes we have to think about 4 elements. If we attachment to non-living things, just think about 4 elements. We may have less attachment to it. Okay, briefly, if we say abandonment or abandoning, we have to change our perception to subside defilements, to give up defilements. It takes time, but possible. Actually, there are many different levels of abandonment. For example, when we can attain Sadapati Magga, how many defilements are eradicated? You have already know. When we can attain Arhataship, we can eradicate all types of defilements, subsiding. So path knowledge, fruition knowledge. Also, we can also attain Nibbana. This is totally abandonment. Abandoning all defilements. In another name of Pahana, actually there are many explanations. It will be too wide. The main thing is we have to abandon defilements by using many different methods. Okay, now Kaya, extinction. Actually, Kaya also can translate as a decreasing. So, mostly when we talk about Kaya, we also understand like a extinguishing. If we say Asava Kaya, you know already, destructions of taste, that's attaining Arhataship. If we say extinction, is totally disappear. If we say Kaya as a decreasing, then you can also understand, right? We have to make weaker and weaker. For example, defilements. Every day we may have defilements. But if we practice, gradually we can make our defilements weaker and weaker. Decreasing the degree of defilements, the frequency of defilements. How frequently do we have lobha? If we have 10 times a day, next day we can reduce maybe 9 times, 8 times. But actually, for all these types of ability or quality, we must practice. This is the purpose of the practice. So although we are practicing every day, we still have many defilements. Sometimes the defilement becomes stronger. Many times when I talk about dana or something about anumodana in Pao, Molomye, so after lunch I have to give anumodana, right? So Dhamma talk to devotees. Then sometimes people also lost their aim or ambition. For example, the purpose of dana is to reduce attachment to the property. Right? But after offering, they become greedier. I don't know how do you practice in Nepal. In Myanmar, many people, they offer a flower to the Buddha. They make very long aspiration. Right? By the power of this donation, may I be beautiful as flower. May I be able to live long. May I be knowledgeable. May I be, many may I be. Right? After offering, they become greedier. Then they lost their aim. They don't know the purpose of dana. Okay, if we summarize, every day we must be able to decrease defilements. We may have many impurity in our mind. When we are going to practice, we must try to decrease. It can be weaker power. It can be less frequency. Right? Sometimes it will arise frequently. But now, after practicing, maybe not many times. So this is also called kaya. Of course, if we can eradicate totally without remainder, is the best. Okay, this is also the purpose of practice. Okay, now next one. Vaya, decay. So you also have already known Vaya also called perishing. Udaya Vaya. When you study Mahastipatthana Sutta, you can also find this kind of Pali words. Vaya Dhammanubasi. Contemplating cessation or perishing. There will be many different types of Vaya, perishing or cessations or anything, right? We can also say decay. So there will be many different types of Vaya. Okay, I will summarize. Upada Vaya. Upada Vaya means we can subside or temporarily it will perish. But it can arise again in the future when there's some supporting condition. This is called Upada Vaya. For example, now when you are listening to the Dhamma talk, you may not have a greed, hatred, or delusions or anything. But in daily life, it can arise again. Temporarily, it perish. It can arise anytime. This is called Upada Vaya. Anupada Vaya, complete cessation. That means after perishing, no more rising. Mostly when we can take hardship, we can have that kind of power. This is also called Vaya. Okay, now again, Viraga, dispassion. So we can also understand Viraga as free from lust, free from attachment. Then we can also understand Viraga as a cessation again. This is also the name of Nibbana. So in Nibbana, no more raga, Viraga. Actually, when we analyze the Viraga according to grammar, V is equal to Vikata. Vikata means absence or disappearance, right? Raga means lust or attachment. Disappearance of lust or absence of lust. So we have a Kama Raga, sensual desire, Bhava Raga, attachment to the life. Vibhava Raga also we have. Anyway, Anagami can eradicate Kama Raga. For Bhava Raga, only Arhat can eradicate. So there are many different types of Viraga. The main thing is when we can attain Nibbana, we may have Viraga. And on the next one, Nirodha, cessation. As we have already mentioned in Vaya, Nirodha also, Upada Nirodha, and Upada Nirodha. Two different types of cessation. So when we have very strong inside knowledge, then defilements will cease temporarily. This is also called Upada Nirodha. When we can attain path and fruition knowledge, or when we can attain hardship, the no more arising of defilements, we call complete cessation. Okay, we have to move the next one. Oh, what happened? Two things come together, right? Jaga, relinquishment. Actually, but in this also you can also understand giving up. When you study Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you have already know Tassa Yeva Dhanaya. Right? These two Pali words also mentioned there. Jago, Parinisako. So Jaga means relinquishment. We have to relinquish craving or dana. Parinisaka also, we have to give up dana or craving. So these are the purpose of practice. So when we are practicing, now we must have aim. We must also know the purpose of practice. Sometimes we do many things, but we don't have any goal. We are also aimless. When we are going to practice, we must have aim. So now all the things I mentioned will be very heavy for you to attain Nibbana, right? Very far. Okay, for previous one, like abandonment, if you can subside defilements when you are meditating, if you can decrease the power of defilements, we can also say you are improving. So, yes. improvement, according to the list here. Okay, we have to move the next one. The classifications of attainment in accordance with practice. So we have to understand 4 types of practice. Now we have to check what kind of practitioner we are also. The first one, Dukkha Paribara Danda Pinya. Practicing with difficulty, attainment also slowly. Sluggish attainment. Dukkha Paribara means practicing with difficulty. So you can also practically experience how difficult it is. What kind of difficulty? Okay, you can count how many difficulties you have when you are meditating now. So here, Dukkha Paribara means practicing with difficulty until we can attain asset concentration. For Samatha practitioner. For Vipassana practitioner, it will be the same until the highest insight knowledge, before attaining path knowledge. We have to practice with many difficulties. This is called Dukkha Paribara. Okay, Danda Pinya. Although we have attained asset concentration, we cannot attain jhana easily. This is called Danda Pinya. We may have many difficulties. For example, we cannot balance and control the faculties. That's why it takes very long time to attain jhana. For our Vipassana practitioner, although we have attained Sankaruppeka jnana, but we cannot attain path and future knowledge easily. This is also called Danda Pinya, sluggish in attainment. So there will be many reasons of Dukkha Paribara, many reasons of Danda Pinya. Later I have to elaborate a few more. And we have to move the next one. Dukkha Paribara Khipa Pinya. Practicing with difficulty, but swift in attainment. You have already known Dukkha Paribara, right? Until you attain asset concentration, a lot of difficulty. Until the highest insight knowledge, you have a lot of difficulty. But here, Khipa Pinya, swift in attainment. You could attain easily, very quickly. So after attaining asset concentration, he could attain jhana easily. After attaining Sankaruppeka jnana, he could attain path and future knowledge easily. So in this type of practice, in the very beginning of practice, they may have a lot of difficulty until they can attain asset concentration and Sankaruppeka jnana. After that, they become very smooth, very easy. This is called Dukkha Paribara Khipa Pinya. Okay, now we have 2 more. Sukha Paribara Danda Pinya. Easy to practice, but sluggish in attainment. You can also imagine again. Sukha Paribara, in the very beginning of practice, very smooth, very easy. Is there anybody here? We are not that type. So that means we can attain asset concentration easily, smoothly, within one single sitting. We can also attain Sankharupa Jnana very easily. Okay, for your information, there are many arhats. They could attain arhatship within one sitting. Very easy, right? But here, very easy practice. But sluggish in attainment. Although they can attain asset concentration easily, they cannot attain jhana easily. It takes very long time. Although they have attained Sankharupa Jnana, they cannot attain path and fresh knowledge easily. This is called Sukha Paribada Danda Vinya. Mostly we will be the first two types. We cannot be the third one. The last one will be very far. That is it. Sukha Paribada Kripa Vinya. Easy to practice and swift in attainment. Special people have this kind of power. This is not for ordinary people. Then when you study the biography of Arhat, you can also know many Arhats. For example, Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Mahamoggallana, they could attain Sotapaddi Magga very easily. Sukha Paribada Kripa Vinya, very easy. Then there will be some conditions. When they attain higher attainment, arhatship, it take time. It took long time. You can also imagine for Venerable Mahamoggallana, 7 days. Venerable Sariputta, 2 weeks. They analyze too much. Venerable Sariputta is a wiser, so he analyzed more in detail. He used all his knowledge, all his wisdom, all his power. That's why it took very long time for him. But although we say very long time, 2 weeks, right? It's 2 weeks for him. For us, we don't know how many years. So they could attain arhatship. Okay, you may have read many stories like that. There are some arhats, they could attain arhatship very easily. We can say Sukha Paribada Kripa Vinya. Now modern community, we cannot have this type. This is because we have very limited inclination toward meditation. Right? Very few people are interested in meditation. You can also imagine. Even when we are meditating also, we have many other interesting things. Practically, when you see the light, interesting, right? Very interesting. Your mind will go to the light, fade away. When you have rapture, joy, then you're also excited, right? You are also very interesting. Your mind will go to that kind of pleasant feeling, fade away. So now modern community, many people enjoy meditation. A kind of enjoyment for their life, for relaxing, meditate, not for attainment. Okay, the main thing is, according to different conditions, we may have different practitioners, then we also have different attainment. Actually, I have already make slideshow, the different conditions of Dukkha Paribhara and Danda Vinya. So I have to elaborate later maybe, right? Today we may not have enough time. Okay, briefly, we all are practicing. Then we have to know what types of practitioner we are. If we are interested in many other things more than meditation, it will become slower. Although we are interested in meditation, but our interest is not right. We have improper interest. Interested in rapture, joy, tranquility, peacefulness, for relaxing, then we cannot have any higher attainment. Okay, so that means when we are going to practice, we must also have right intention, the right purpose. Not only that, we must also practice properly as guided by the Buddha, then we will improve. Okay, there are many obstacles, the many impediments, many difficulties. Without overcoming difficulties, we cannot improve. Now we must remember what kind of difficulties we have in our practice. If we come to know what's the biggest problem, the biggest obstacles, it will be easier for us to improve. I will stop here. May you all be able to practice 3 trainings, and may you all be able to realize final cessation and no suffering. Okay, now you may have a question.
Hello. Sayadaw, there are 3 questions from the yogi. The first one, why do Anagami who have eradicated the root of self-view still have conceit?
Okay. Conceit and wrong view, identity view, they have different objects, different conditions. For example, identity view comes from 5 aggregate. So we have 20 types of identity view. Okay? All of them come from 5 aggregate. In the case of mana, conceit, it can be anything. It can be education, wealth, right? There can be many mana, many conceit. Okay, I think yesterday or a few days ago we have already talked about mana. Yesterday maybe we have talked about mana, right? Yathawa mana, ayathawa mana. I have already mentioned. For Sotapanna, they have mana, but not so serious. Their mana is flexible. When they know the truth, they can accept the truth. So ordinary people, sometimes although we know the truth, we are not ready to accept the truth. Right? This is improper mana, poison, toxic in our mind. Okay? Or Sotapanna may not have that kind of mana.
The second question, how host the noble person come under the Sangha who we as a Buddhist refuse to means the noble layperson who is attained the noble state is considered as Sangha. Sangha for as an object?
Not quite clear, right? We cannot say, right? No, layperson is layperson. Sangha must be Sangha, right?
If we could not find Kalyana Metta around us, what should we do?
Actually, in this case, we may have different types of Kalyana Metta. It depends on what you are doing, what you wish to be. For example, if you wish to earn money, you must also have Kalyana Metta who can guide you how to earn money. Right? This is a worldly achievement, for worldly achievement. For about spiritual improvement, it depends on what you need. There will be many different types of Kalyana Metta. For example, if you don't have confidence, then you must have good friends who have very strong confidence. If you are lack of knowledge, you must have knowledgeable friends. Similarly, if you are immoral, you wish to be moral, then you must have moral friends. Okay, one more thing here. Sometimes, although we have Kalyana Metta, if we don't wish to change, not that much useful. For example, you don't have faith, but you have Kalyana Metta who had a very strong faith. If you don't follow their footstep, or if you cannot get his guidance, not that much useful. Right? So that means Kalyana Metta can be many different interpretation according to what you need. If you want to attain path and fruition knowledge, sure, you must learn from somebody who can guide you until you can attain path and fruition knowledge.
Dạ, bạch Ngài, con đọc trong một số bài kinh thì có nói là một vị mà chưa xuất gia đó thì khi mà đã chứng A-la-hán rồi á, thì sau 7 ngày nếu mà không xuất gia thì vị ấy sẽ nhập niết bàn. Cho con hỏi là tại sao lại như vậy?
The question is, I read in some sutta said that if a lay person attain arahantship without 7 days, if he not ordained as a ordained person, he must pass away. So Kusala, please explain why is that?
The question is, he after as a lay person,
he must
pass away.
Yeah, without 7 days. He must
ordain, sure. If he didn't ordain, he must pass away. Then what's the question? Why? Okay, why? Okay, in this case, I have quality and human clothes are opposite. Right? That's why he will pass away. We call the robe as Arhata Daja, the banner of Arahat. Sometimes we also need proper clothes for proper lifestyles.
I said he asked 7 days, but actually is it only 24 hours, isn't it? 1 day.
It hasn't mentioned 7 days really, right?
So how in the text mention 1 day or
it doesn't mention 1 day or 7 days, right?
Oh really?
Okay. That means it just mentioned like after then adultship, if they are not ready to ordain, then they will pass away. We have that kind of statement, right?
I said I heard that if we want to improve the concentration, we have to be close with those who have concentration. So Kusala, please explain the size of the person who has concentration.
Okay. Actually, if we say who has concentration, that means who attains jhana. That's called one who has concentration, right? Okay, that means when you have difficulty, then he will know how to handle, how to overcome it. But he has experience already. That's why you may need concentrated Kalyana Metta to develop your concentration. So for sign of good concentration, actually, later I have to explain what is really called concentration and how many steps, what are they, what are the quality. There are many information. It will be too wide.
There is a question in Zoom. So, dear Sayadaw, I am feeling confused about the issue of the impurity of food. In this context, does it mean that the body itself is impure, the food is impure, or both are impure? For example, if we drink a glass of pure water, after it passes through our body, it comes out as something no longer pure, such as urine or sweat. Could you kindly explain more about this matter, Sayadaw, with respect and gratitude?
Actually, in this case, we cannot say impure. We just talk about repulsive. Okay? So you must feel repulsive. Actually, there are many different ways to recall the repulsiveness of food. Okay, for example, how do they process the food according to modern society? Have you ever watched any documentary about chicken farm, pig farm, any other process of factory? Right? How they pack the food, how they process the food. Just seeing. Okay. Have you ever go to that kind of factory? How do you smell? I have been to some farm, right? Very smelly. You can also imagine. Okay. Have you ever been to factory? Processing meat or something? Then how do you smell? Okay, that means we have to know how it comes from, how it is processed. Just example. It doesn't mean impure. That means according to the smell, how it produced, then it becomes repulsive. Of course, food in the plate, food in the cup will be very nice. It smells very good, right? Before cooking, how do you smell? Okay, for example, fish. Before cooking, how do you smell? After cooking, how do you smell? The next day, how do you smell? Right? Even, for example, egg. Not yet fully living beings, right? How do you smell? So before cooking, after cooking, the next day. So this means we have to know the process of the food. And we have to feel repulsive. This is the main purpose of practice. It doesn't mean impure of the body or something. If we say impurity of the body, as you say, for example, urine. This is in the 32 body parts. And digestive food, newly eaten food, this is also one of the 32 body parts. Digestive food, this is also the 32 body parts. It will be another type of meditation. Okay? Oh, no more question.
On Zoom, there is question. Vandami Sayadaw, a monk wrote, he cannot swim for the bhikkhu vinaya. Is it true and why? A monk wrote that he cannot swim because of bhikkhu vinaya. Is it true and why?
Swimming.
Swimming, sir.
Okay. Actually, we have a rule already. Uddake hasadame. Right? If we just do for fun, this is it. Bhajitiya. Okay, well, one more thing, right? Not only swim actually, if we play with water, even in the puzzle, right? Don't play. If we play, this is also offense. We must not play water, right? This is like a layperson behavior, layperson manner. We must not do anything for fun.
The next question on Zoom: why doing anapanasati When the concentration is good, sometimes I feel like I am continuously falling in space. What is this feeling? Is it a good sign?
Still. Okay, we get the tranquility, right? Actually, when you have a little bit better concentration, or when you have a calmness of the mind, don't follow it. Don't follow the calmness of the mind too much. You must keep knowing breathing. Sometimes we like pleasant feeling. We also like calmness, as you say, stillness, right? Still. So when you follow that kind of things, your effort will become weaker. Finally, you cannot know the object clearly. So experiencing calmness, tranquility, this is a good sign. If you follow it, there will be better result.
The next question, Gwandami Sayadaw, can a female practitioner achieve arahantship in current days?
Okay, if you try, you give me the first person. Right? I don't know. In my community, I have never seen any female arhat. Okay, so now, challenge yourself. Do 10 arhatship, right?
Gwandami Sayadaw, today is Mother's Day and I observe the practice of Vikala Bhojana today, but it would not be suitable for my mother to follow the same rule due to her age and her health. So how can I cultivate the wisdom to always make the right judgments and decision in daily life? So this is her first question, sir.
Right decision. Right, this is a big question also, right? So what kind of decision do you want to make? It depends. Okay.
Another question, is it appropriate to pray for good health and prosperity for my non-Buddhist relatives? After all, these things are essential for ordinary people living in mundane world.
Okay, for making aspiration, you can do for anybody. Like a relative metta, you can also do for anybody. We don't limit Buddhist or non-Buddhist. Right?
Gwandami Sayadaw, this question is a bit weird. She asked, in the text, is there any records about the height of our Gautama Buddha? Yes, Sayadaw.
Actually, it mentions Atara Sahatu Veda, right? We have that kind of statement, right? Atara Sami 18. Hatami, hand. Okay, we also have many different measurements. According to one of Myanmar scholar, it mentioned Buddha is at 9 feet height. Very high, right? Very tall. Edavadaja amehi Sambadam bunya sambaram Sabbe deva numodandu Sabbe Buddha numodandu Sabbe Saddha numodandu Sabba Sambati Siriya Idame Nyadinam Hotu Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo Idame Nyadinam Hotu Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo Idame Bunyam Asawakaya Waham Hotu Idame Bunyam Nibbanasa Pajayo Hotu Mama Bunya Bhagam Sabba Satanam Bhajami Te Sabhe Me Samam Bunya Bhagam Lavantu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu